sure this is right. You're running in New York Second District,
Right.
Green Party, no corporate money, et cetera, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want my intro?
Mhm.
I can put that in the chat for you.
Sure.
Okay. Yep. Come on, open it up. Open it up. There you go.
Okay. Okay, that's the information. Okay.
Oh shoot, that's for the one where I was Long Island only.
Oh, okay.
South Shore. Yeah, the last thing I did was a Long Island meet the candidate, so everybody knew I was on Long Island. So I just added that part in.
All right, that's the information about you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll use that when I do the intro. All right, so we live yet, Brad? Oh, okay. So thank you for joining us today on Kerberos Roundtable Discussions. Today here with me I have Harry Berger, who is running for Congress in New York 2nd District, South Shore, straddling to the county line. He wants to replace Peter King, who is not seeking re-election.
That's correct.
And you want to get big money out of politics, defund the military, add and implement universal health care.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me to speak to you and onto your show.
Okay. So you're running as a Green Party candidate.
That's right.
Now, is this your first time running for office?
Yes, it is. It's been quite a learning experience.
What did you do before? Oh. All right. So what did you do before?
Oh, I'm a mechanical engineer.
Okay.
So my day job is in the ground support equipment industry. So it's all the stuff at an airport that doesn't fly.
Right. Okay. Just going to tweet out the interview. That's okay.
Okay.
So you could just talk about that for a minute while I tweet out the interview.
Well, there's not much really to tell. It's designing and 3D modeling different products for connecting to aircraft when they're on the ground. So all the things for putting fluids into the plane and taking fluids out and air handling and all kinds of things like that. I do a lot of 3D modeling work and engineering and 3D printing and stuff. And I have a micro business of my own. I have a store on Etsy. I make wax seals and signet rings with 3D printing.
So you're a business owner.
Yeah, a business of one, but yes.
Okay. So you're not taking any corporate money, correct?
That's correct. That's front and center on my homepage. That this is a 100% people-powered campaign. And I'm fortunate to still have my day job, so I'm working full time while trying to campaign for Congress at the same time, which gets interesting.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to run.
Well, it all got started when it was at a Green Party meeting sometime late last year, where they announced that Peter King was deciding not to seek re-election in this district, and that the party really wanted to run somebody for this particular office. If we did nothing else, we wanted to put somebody in this particular spot, and who's willing to do it. And I was the one who stepped up. I've kind of always had an interest in politics. It started way back in high school, actually. I'm an Eagle Scout. One of the things you have to do on the way there is there's a badge called Citizenship in the Nation, and you have to write a letter to your congressman.
Hmm.
And that was really what first introduced me to the idea at a very young age of that they work for us, and that closed loop of they have the power and authority, but they have to serve the people and be accountable to us, was really kind of central to the idea of what America is supposed to be. But in especially since the Citizens United decision and others that allowed unlimited money in politics, it's broken down even more. And we've broken that feedback loop where the people who are in power are held more accountable to the corporations than the citizens that elect them.
That's definitely true. And I'd like to ask if you've heard of there is a group that's trying to get the money out of politics. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. I promote them a lot on this show. They're called
There are a few of them, I'm sure.
They're called Wolfpack.
I'm sorry, what was that?
They're called Wolfpack, and they're trying to get a constitutional amendment that gets rid of corporate money, union money, all money in politics to make it funded by the people and only the people, and to possibly move toward a system of publicly funded elections and people-funded elections.
I think that sounds like a great idea. I just don't see it actually happening because the people who have the power to make those decisions are the ones who benefit greatly from the way things are right now. They don't want you to have third-party options. They want it to be the Democrats and the Republicans, and that's it. They don't want
it goes further than that. I think they want it to be the corporate Democrats and the corporate Republicans as well.
Oh, of course, like the primary challengers who ran against AOC that had all that corporate money, and thankfully she was able to hold on to her nomination and everything. But that just goes to show you that, you know, if you toe the corporate party line, you get all the money in the world to saturate the airwaves and the media and everything with your message. And if you don't play ball, they will fund whoever runs against you.
Definitely. Now, Pelosi had her own challenger recently, which is the first time in 30 years, I think. So people are trying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy to run against somebody like that.
Oh, especially not when she's Speaker of the House.
No, not even. And she also is a I think she has a few $100 million herself in her own pocket. So she could easily add that to her campaign money if she needs to. But
right. Well, I'm a mechanical engineer on Long Island. I'm no millionaire.
So you gotta run on, you run on the people's money, you run on whatever money you can get, but you don't run on corporate money. You do not run on. You have no corporate PACs, correct?
Oh, absolutely not. It's right there on the front page of my website. It's 100% people-powered campaign. We don't take any corporate money at all. And that's a Green Party policy from top to bottom.
Well, it should be a policy for everybody.
Well, exactly. But the people with a lot of power in the status quo don't want it to change.
Definitely. And during the Democratic primary, we had a couple candidates who ran without corporate money. They lost the election, and we had
a lot of primary challengers. I heard.
Yeah, we had about 20 something of them, and we had 3 running without corporate money. And then we had all the rest running with corporate money. And you'll never guess who won. The guy with the corporate money.
Oh, what a shock.
But he had less money.
There was a challenger to Tom Suozzi, who's the congressman to the district just to the north of me. And, he's the incumbent and he's got all the corporate money. And, of course, he won his primary and everything. But, there was no green in that race. So I was, quietly supportive of the primary challenger there, but we're trying to keep everything with the Green Party line as much as possible.
But you would prefer if there's a green running, you prefer the green wins. But if there's no green running,
absolutely.
Can you blame me? The more, let's say, progressive or populist challenger would win.
Yeah, if there's no green in the race, sure. We take the best that we can get. But if there's a green, generally, I'm going to be supporting them because, we're the same party. Of course we are.
Now, aren't there some shared tickets going in? There have been shared tickets in the past, right?
Well, generally speaking, Greens don't go for cross endorsements. I remember hearing in New York that it's not allowed. I know that Howie Hawkins, who's our candidate for president, has been cross-endorsed by the Socialist Party this time.
Well, his
I'm not sure if they're a
vice
ballot access
president.
party in
Well,
New York.
they might be allowed because his vice president was their nominee.
Okay, but now it's the same slate for both the Socialist Party and the Green Party if the Socialist Party has ballot access in your state.
Basically,
And-
so but the Socialist Party, they're on the ticket with the Green Party, so that's their vice president. I had Howie Hawkins on the show, and I kind of have an understanding of that. But
okay, and one of the other important things on the subject of ballot access is for New York State, the way it used to work for a very long time was the way a party gets ballot access is you need, I believe it was 50,000 votes for your candidate for governor, and then you're on the ballot, and your order on the ballot is determined by what order you come in for the governor's race, and that gets you ballot access for 4 years. But Governor Cuomo has decided to do some sneaky little tricks to make it 6 times harder to stay on the ballot. So the new rule is that you need a minimum of 130,000 or I believe 2% of the total vote, whichever is higher now to have ballot access. And winning that for governor gets you 2 years, and then president gets you 2 more years. So you have to do about 3 times as many votes twice as often in order to keep ballot access. And the main reason he's doing this is because typically, historically, the Working Families Party generally cross-endorses whoever the Democrats run. But last time Cuomo ran for re-election, they decided to endorse his primary challenger. So he decided to fix their wagon and make it basically impossible for anyone but the big two to be on the ballot. Also, we have ballot fusion in New York, which means that the same person can run on multiple party lines, like we were talking about before. And this way, if the Working Families Party cross-endorses the Democrat, and if they do enough to get out the votes to get the same candidate to get the votes on the Working Families Party's line, then they can stay a ballot access party in New York. But
now AOC tried that this time around, but she was a few signatures short to be on the ballot for the Working Families Party this year.
Okay. I didn't follow her race too intensely. I was kind of more focused on my own.
No, of course, but yeah, she's usually on the working. Well, the first year she ran, she was also on the Working Families ballot. She was about 3 signatures short this year.
Oh, wow. Well, the other thing that they like to do is they'll challenge your signatures if you get enough and try to invalidate them. They tried to say things like, oh, that signature is illegible because it was a woman who signed in Arabic.
Of course.
And her last name was a very Muslim-sounding name, and she came to the door to sign in a hijab. So I'm sure Arabic's her first language, and that's how she signs her name. And they said the signature is illegible, so it should be thrown out.
No, I think they did this at the last.
And a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, I believe they told her at the last minute though that she didn't have the signatures, if I remember correctly.
Maybe it was a challenger that managed to knock out enough signatures that she was 3 short, so they stopped challenging.
Yeah,
that's a common strategy.
So definitely. Now we're going to talk a little bit about your policy positions. You're for Medicare for all. Would that be a single payer version, or would that be, because there's different versions now?
Whatever we have, it has to cover every human being in the United States, regardless of who you are, regardless of citizenship. You're a human being, you're in American soil, you need medical attention, you get it done. That's it. And whatever coverage they give to everybody has to be the only coverage that members of Congress are allowed to have. That way we make sure that it's good coverage.
Definitely.
It's a term from engineering, we call it eat your own dog food.
Right.
So basically,
Congress works for us.
Writing software, you use that program yourself, and if there's bugs in it, you've got to fix them and fix them for everybody.
Definitely. So, are you in favor though of the bill that would cover vision and dental as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the way I see it, it's all part of your body. Why was it ever separated? Because people can make more money that way.
Right. Now, there are some people saying, oh, no, we can't have that because of elective surgeries. Now, we could always have supplemental insurance for people who want to get like elective surgeries and stuff like that. That's
I'm,
separate.
I'm not really that concerned with the nitty gritty details at
No,
this
I'm not
point
either.
because there's no offer on the table that if I say yes, it'll happen.
No,
So we
definitely.
can talk until the cows come home about all the different possibilities and what have you. And nobody really wants to see how laws and sausages are made. I've heard that. I think that was a Mark Twainism. But
there was
I actually care.
A long time ago, before the Medicare for All proposal, under a different president, I can't remember who it was, he proposed a Medicaid for all where he would nationalize Medicaid. Now, that was a long time ago. So back then, that was a big deal to talk about. So now we're like,
it didn't happen.
No, it never happened. And then there was talk about the public option about 10 years ago. We never got that either. We don't get anything.
The public option, I think, was always a boondoggle. That was basically a way that if you're unemployed, you can still buy affordable health insurance, but it's still a money-making proposition for the big insurance companies and big pharma.
But the way I
see it, they're exploiting human suffering. They're literally saying your money or your life. How is that not extortion? How is that not criminal?
Definitely. But the other thing I worry about with that is, what if we did the public option and then all the health insurance companies, dump all the sick people onto that public option? What do we then all those people are, just stuck with that, and then all the healthy people have the insurance, the regular.
Well, that's why whatever insurance that Congress guarantees for everybody has to be what Congress is stuck with personally for them and their families. So that way, if it's garbage insurance, they have to live with garbage insurance personally. Like, here's another example of that. So there's a limit to how much money an individual person can donate to a candidate for office per election cycle. Right now, if I remember correctly, it's $2,800. And that automatically adjusts upward with inflation every year because that's something that benefits the members of Congress directly. But the minimum wage does not increase with inflation automatically.
That was actually
that doesn't benefit them personally.
That was something AOC brought up a little while about last year, I think. She said, what if we had a minimum wage that adjusted with inflation? And then it didn't get any coverage on the news. No one talked about it, and it just died.
Yep. That's what happens all the time is the big media and the big businesses and everything. They don't want these ideas to get public traction, so they just don't cover them. The most newspapers are, pretty slanted one way or the other. There's a few that are a little bit more neutral and everything, but every human being has a slant of their own to a certain extent, and the newspapers are run by people, so they're either generally in the Democratic or the Republican camp, and but both of those parties don't want any of these changes that would benefit the people of America at the expense of the corporations.
Definitely. Now, are you familiar with Congress did the massive corporate bailout recently?
Which one?
That's a good question. I forgot what it was, the one for the virus. There were other proposals.
Oh, yeah.
There were other proposals by now there were proposals for a bottom-up bailout. There were a lot of great proposals. Those were all ignored. And
of course.
They went
all the ones where you give money to the people at the bottom who are going to spend it immediately because they need to.
There was even a proposal that I forgot. I think Senator Warren had an interesting proposal. She said, what if we gave everyone who's working an essential job hazard pay and protective equipment? Nope, we're not going to put that in the bill. I'm sorry, we can't do that. But we have to make sure we bail out Boeing or whatever it was.
Yeah, and a specific example to the first virus bailout bill at the federal level. They set up the rules for how the loans would be awarded, and you fill out this paperwork to see if you qualify and everything, and there's a cap on how much money they can spend in total. And in this case, my minister's husband happens to be working for a nonprofit medical company that does immunotherapy. And they basically, as soon as this virus started going crazy, they were like right there with, okay, drop everything. We're going to work on finding a cure to this virus. And they applied for this funding. and they were told that they qualified, but they ran out of money because the hedge funds slurped up all the funds before they actually got to the people at the bottom, because the lobbyists really wrote that bill and the Congress just rubber stamped it, more or less.
Recently, Pelosi got a letter from, there's a lobbying organization that lobbies for lobbyists. I forgot what they're called. There really is. And they wrote a letter.
In order to understand recursion, you have to understand recursion.
Yeah, and they wrote a letter to Pelosi saying, it essentially said, I don't have a letter. I wish I had the letter here to show on the screen, but it says, essentially it said, you have to bail us out because who's going to write the legislation?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it should be members of Congress or their staffs. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to know how to write the thing in legalese, but I can, generally make sense of it, well enough. But there's already 7 engineers in Congress, actually.
Now, in the new bill, this is something, I love how the corporate Democrats and Republicans pretend they disagree. McConnell's like, we're not going to negotiate, but I believe in his version of the bill, he kept the thing that Pelosi put in to bail out the lobbyists.
Of course they did. Of course they're going to bail out the lobbyists. How else are they going to get their campaigns funded? Exactly,
or they can't write their own legislation, I guess. Yep. And now I'd like to show this article on the screen. Brad, if you could pull it up. It says, this is a proposal I like from Congress. It's never going to go through, but it's a good proposal. Brad, if you could show, it's the last thing I sent you. Give him a second. Why does it look like that? Okay, there we go. If you could,
no.
Yeah. So can you scroll down to the basics of the bill? There's a part of it that explains the bill. If you could scroll down. Okay, yeah. So Senator Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, and Ed Markey proposed a bill to give Americans $2,000 per month during the coronavirus. Money.
Like Canada did.
What?
Like Canada did for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And it would residents making up to $120,000 with payments of $2,000 per child, per child, up to 3 children. If you go down, there's a little bit more specifics. I believe. Okay. No. There's a thing that all right, go down more. All right, well, it doesn't give everything here, but I think it would last 3 months after the crisis is over as well, if I remember correctly. So this was great legislation.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, because it's going to take time for businesses to spool back up. It's like steering an oil tanker. You turn the wheel and like an hour later it actually starts turning.
I don't think they have the votes to get this through.
Oh, absolutely not.
Now, but the other thing is, I think when they should have asked for something like this, because they were talking about it before when we had the original bailout bill. The problem with Congress is they're not, or at least the progressive resistance, they're not unified. And when they try to, I'm not sure if you remember, the right had a movement called the Tea Party movement.
Sure.
That pushed the Republicans further to the right. But the reason they were able to do that is because they were a bloc. They were unified, and they would stand together. The progressives in Congress are not organized. They're all over the place. And when one of them stands up, they don't all stand up together. So they're not going to be able to force them to say, okay, we need you to put A, B, and C in the bill. Otherwise, we're all not going to vote for the bill. We're going to hold it up, because this is the bill that had to pass. So they could have done that, but they were unable to do something like that, I think.
My understanding is there's a group that's commonly referred to as the Squad, which is AOC and Ilhan Omar and a few other members of Congress that are, the more progressive of the bunch. But I think it's only like a dozen people. So that's generally speaking not enough to, well, if we all say no, this doesn't happen.
No, there's about 20.
When happened, they had a block big enough that they could actually move things.
No, there's about 25 to 30 progressives in the 400 out of the 400 in the House.
Okay.
And they even have to work across the aisle because what's her name? Pramila Jayapal. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's the head of the Progressive Caucus.
Which not is specifically.
Well, she worked with Republican. God, what's his name? Oh, his name is blanking on me. Josh Hawley, who is a right populist, and she said, "What if they were working together to try to nationalize the payroll?" He's in the Senate, she's in the House. And she's like, what if we work together to nationalize the payroll? No one gets laid off. We pay everybody. And they tried that. That got shut down. So even when you work across the aisle, you can only work across the aisle if it benefits corporations, it looks like.
Oh, of course. Because the same corporations will fund Democrats or Republicans, whoever's the incumbent who does whatever their bidding is. And if they don't get what they want, they'll fund the opposition.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and it happened. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Wells Fargo credit card scandal.
I know I've heard some sort of Wells Fargo.
Okay.
Was that the one where they were creating fake accounts?
Fake accounts, sending everybody credit cards. Okay, so what happened was, a lot of people don't realize, behind the scenes, Senator Warren kept screaming at the Wells Fargo executives, and then they got mad.
Oh, I think I saw that video.
And they sent an email to the Democrats saying, you need to calm her down and everything. And she said no behind the scenes. And you know what happened? They gave more money to the Republicans that year. Because the Republicans were not yelling at the banks. They couldn't keep her in line. And the thing is, they didn't want someone like that there because they want someone who's going to be, please don't do that again. She literally told the Wells Fargo CEO he needed to be fired. Actually, he did get let go, but not because after her yelling at him, the stocks went down, and they had to ask him to leave. And he didn't get a golden parachute. How unfortunate, when they give him a few $1 million. And then the news wrote a sad article about him because he didn't get a golden parachute.
World's smallest violin.
Definitely. And when you have someone who does the opposition now, the problem is some people are afraid of party loyalty, but what should come first is your constituents and the people you're representing. And
absolutely.
Let me ask you this. If you're in Congress and you're getting pressure, if you're in the similar position, and they said, can you not yell at the bank CEO, please? What would your response be?
I don't think that's suitable for a public broadcast.
Oh, okay. They need to give us our money. No, but
well, the thing is, as a Green Party representative, from day one, I've got a target on my back from both sides. If I get into office, that 2 years later, I'm going to wind up with very well-funded challengers from both sides, and they're going to hit me with everything they got, no matter what I do. There's no way that I'm going to actually, play ball enough with them that they'll be happy with me, that they'll be like, you know what, we'll just leave Harry alone.
Now, will you play ball with the progressives and them and work with them? You might have, because you're not going to have a majority.
I know there's a certain amount of playing ball that has to happen to make anything move at all. I've got no illusions of being able to get everything I want without compromise. That would just be silly. But the bottom line is, I'm not going to be silent about the parts where the thumbs are on the scale.
Definitely. So but let me ask you a question. Who would you work with first? AOC or Nancy Pelosi?
I think you know the answer to that one.
Definitely. So now,
but there's actually some intelligent ideas from the other side of the aisle. There's I mentioned that there's 7 members of Congress who are engineers. One of them last name is Massey. His first name is escaping me at the moment. But he came up with an idea. He called it the Prime Act. And basically the idea is that this is back when meat packing plants were shutting down and people were worried about the supply of meat products and things. And the way it works is apparently if you're selling meat across state lines, it needs to be slaughtered at a FDA certified facility. But there are smaller operations that aren't FDA certified that can't ship over state lines, but that also can't sell to the public. He wanted to make it so that those slaughterhouses and those meatpacking plants that aren't FDA certified could still sell within the state to a grocery store or what have you, to put some meat on the shelves as a way to basically, here's the people with the right skills and the right equipment and the right distribution ability and what have you. They've already got almost everything you need. Just the law is stopping them from being able to pick up where the bigger parties left off. and it made sense. It was an intelligent proposal, and it's like, things like that. I would, I'm definitely willing to work across the line when it makes sense, when we're doing good things for the people of the United States.
Right.
It doesn't matter which side it's coming from. And then you have programs like the F-35, which are just the dumbest idea in the world. I know a lot of engineers. My whole family is engineers. I work with them. I went to school with them. They're like half my Facebook feed is engineers. Every single one of them, as soon as they hear the idea that we're going to make one fighter jet that's going to work for the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines need it to be short takeoff and vertical landing, every single engineer says that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. Who thought that was smart? And it's turned into the most expensive military program we've ever had.
Now, let me just let you know, we're running low on time on the meeting, so we're going to switch Zoom links because we don't want to pay Zoom.
Okay.
If that's all right with you. So we're going to have that set up for you for in 1 second. So we could.
Okay. So you're going to send me an email or something with that?
Yeah, we'll send you an email. And
okay, so do I have to sign off then?
Will we have to do another live stream, Brad, or can we continue on this one? Okay. Now, when there's only 2 people in the call, it doesn't charge you extra, but when there's 3, they started updating Zoom and they're cracking down. So
I thought it didn't happen after 6 o'clock though.
Apparently now it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, see you again in a minute.
Send it to my other account as well. No, I don't. All right. Okay, you end.
Hello. Little commercial break. With no commercials. Well, I can talk right now. My website is burger4congress.com. It's burger with a U and the number 4. And if people could go there, they can sign up for my email list. There's links to my Twitter, Facebook, and other accounts there. And we very much need your money here because, like I said, this is a 100% people-powered campaign, and we don't take the corporate money, so we don't get the big dollars from a couple people, so we need small dollars from a lot of people. And I know most people have never given a political contribution in their life. A lot of people call them donations. I don't like that word. Donation for me is for a charity. You give your money away for the feel goods. This is a contribution. You're supporting the things that you believe in, the people you believe in. Really?
Good. Okay, so yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so okay, we're back live, I guess. So we're gonna show a bit. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna start showing a couple videos now and get your reaction.
Oh,
Okay, so
okay.
if that's okay. Okay, so the first video we're going to show is okay. So I remember I was telling you about that organization called Wolfpack that wants to get money out of politics. We're going to show you their announcement they announced themselves at I can't hear your mic.
I'm here.
Okay, so we're going to show you their announcement at Occupy Wall Street, which got shut down by our lovely mayor in New York, by our former mayor in New York, Michael Bloomberg.
Yep. I herniated a disc there, carrying 2 cases of bottled water for half a mile.
Wow.
Couldn't find parking. So yeah. It's not full screen, but I can see it.
Mic check. Mic check. I'm Jake Uger. I'm Jake Uger of the Young Turks.
I can't get it. I don't have any audio.
I have
No
an
audio.
announcement.
No, you have to share your audio.
Tonight, we're
Okay,
going to start a fight. Mic check. Mic check. I'm Jake Uger. I'm Jake Uger of the Young Turks. Of the Young Turks. I have an announcement. I have an announcement. Tonight, we're going to start a fight. Start a fight to take back our democracy. Our democracy. Our politicians are bought. Our politicians are bought. Who bought them? Who bought them? Who bought them? Who bought them? The corporations did. The corporations did. Corporations are not immoral. Corporations are not immoral. They have no morality. They have no morality. Corporations are. Corporations are. Profit-making machines. Profit-making machines. We must not. We must not. Let the machines. Let the machines. Take over our government. Take over our government. In this fight. In this fight. We need leaders. We need leaders. We need organizers. We need organizers. We need you. We need you. We want an army. We want an army. To fight for an amendment. To fight for an amendment. To declare. To declare. Corporations are not people. Corporations are not people. They can no longer. They can no longer. Buy our politicians. Buy our politicians. We want to. We want to. Occupy the states. Occupy the states. To demand. To demand. That the states. That the states. Call for. Call for. A constitutional convention. A constitutional convention. Please help us. Please help us. Fight the machines. Fight the machines. Tonight. Tonight. The battle is joined. The battle is joined. From now on. From now on. They're not coming for us. They're not coming for us. We're coming for them. We're coming for them. If you want to help. If you want to help. Go to. New website. New website. Wolf-pack.com. Wolf-pack.com. We named it Wolfpack. We named it Wolfpack. Because we're coming for them. Because we're coming for them. Join us. Join us. United. United. We are. We are. Too strong. Too strong. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I love all of you. I love all of you. That came from so far. That came from so far. And that endured so much. That endured so much. There is hope. There is hope. We can fight back. We can fight back. We will fight back. We will fight back. And we will win. And we will win.
So that was the announcement at Occupy Wall Street. Since then, they have 5 states.
2011. Okay. Yeah. So that's 9 years ago now. That sounds about right.
And they have 5 states who called for the convention already.
Calling for a convention is also kind of dangerous because it's it's a sword that cuts both ways. Once you open it up to make it easier to amend the Constitution, well, really Constitutional Convention,
can stop
to my
screen sharing,
understanding,
Brad.
would be able to just start over from a blank sheet of paper and write a new one.
No. They had a professor talk about this at one of their events. He said you can only, now the way they do it is you can only have them vote on this one issue. So if we call, you can't combine issues anymore. It used to be you can combine as many issues as you want, but now you can only do the one issue. And you can get it, you can go to prison apparently if you vote for something else, and you can be replaced by somebody else, a representative from the state. They put protections in place. Congress did a while ago. So
Well,
it's definitely changed.
how can you do that without amending the Constitution? Because the process
Well,
for
you do
calling a
amend the
constitutional
Constitution,
convention
but you
is
can only
in the
vote.
Constitution itself.
So it would have to be the way the convention is called. You'd only be able to vote on this one issue. And
Okay. So the states that are passing the motion to hold the convention they're putting conditions on the convention.
right, you can only
Okay.
no, Congress put conditions on the convention a while ago because there were a bunch of people calling for a convention for different things. And they said, no, you can only call it for one. You cannot combine them. So if you're calling a convention for this, it's for this. It's not for that. It's not for that. It's not for the other thing. It's only for this.
But how can a simple act of Congress change the Constitution? Because the Constitution says these are the rules for calling a convention. If you want to change the Constitution's rules for changing the convention, you need an amendment?
You need an amendment, but the way it would work is the states would set up so you can only vote on money in politics, and you can bring your ideas for that, but you can't bring your ideas for, there's other movements who want to do other things, and